Hi guys, my name is Emily. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag, which was a tag created by Chammy from Read Like Wildfire and Ellie from Earl Grey Books. Both of them are here on YouTube and they make videos, and I will link them down below. I think you should check out the work that they're doing. So the purpose of this tag is to check in with your reading year, with your goals. And to be honest with you, I went back to my Top 5 Wednesday where I talked about my reading goals. I'm not completing my goals at all, but number one is the best book you've read so far this year. So I have 4 books here because I read across marketing categories and age categories. So the first book that I want to talk about is my favorite picture book, and that is Interstellar Cinderella by Deborah Underwood and Meg Hunt. Now this is a retelling of Cinderella in space, and Cinderella is super badass. She just wants to be a mechanic, not a wife, not a princess, not a queen, and it's glorious and I love it. And the illustrations are beautiful and rich. Like, they have all of these dark colors but also really vibrant colors throughout it, and I love the color palette and I loved the message, so I would highly recommend this. My best book for young readers, 9 to 12-year-olds, or middle grade fiction as it's sometimes called in other places, is George by Alex Gino. So this tells the story of Melissa, a trans girl who wants to be Charlotte in her school's production of Charlotte's Web, but nobody wants to cast Melissa because they view Charlotte as a girl's part and they view Melissa as a boy. And so it's about Melissa coming out. It is beautifully done. The cast of supporting characters is so good, and I think it's just a really accessible and empathetic narrative that will help young people to understand difference and be more loving humans. The next book I have here is The Best Way that I've read so far this year, and this is sort of a tie between The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This is an own voices narrative born out of the Black Lives Matter movement. It tells the story of Star, who has witnessed a police murder one of her good friends simply for being black, and the repercussions of that as Star goes to trial. It's relevant, it's super important, and I hope this is one of those staple texts that ends up on a lot of high school reading lists. Very close second is Goodbye Days by Jeff Zentmer. So this tells the story of a boy whose 3 best friends have died in a car accident after he sent them a text message, and he sent the text message to the driver of the car, knowing that he was driving, knowing that he would respond the quickest. And of course the consequence is that the friend checked the text message and crashed their car. Now when I read the synopsis, I was like, great, this is gonna be super didactic. As much as it has that message, it's not hammering it down your throat in the way that a lot of young adult texts that deal with quote-unquote relevant issues, tough topics, have done it. Like, if you watch my wrap-ups, you know that I read Wrecked, and I felt that it was a little heavy-handed, and I was worried that this would be heavy-handed as well, and it wasn't. It was really carefully handled, and it's an exploration of grief and grieving and what it means to lose somebody and how you begin to move forward and heal. So The Hate You Give is the best, and this is a very close second. Both of these have been phenomenal. And then best so far in general fiction has been Uprooted by Naomi Novik. So good that I would actually like to film a review and a discussion video for this. I know I said that about a lot of things, and time just doesn't allow for me to get to them. Like, I have this list of things that I want to review and discuss, but this is pretty high on that list. So this is a story of Agnieszka, who is captured by the dragon, the wizard that guards their village from the woods. The woods are evil and dark and polluted, and the woods are always looking to expand its borders and to pervert more people, pervert more land. And so the wizard takes Agnieszka to live in his tower. Everybody assumes is a sex slave, but turns out no, he just needs someone to cook and do his laundry and stuff. But this time, he picked Agnieszka because she has a sliver of magic that he sees in her, and he is obligated to train her. And they do not get along at first, and it is beautiful, it is dark, it is horrific in some places, very much. Like, if you like Stephen King, you will probably like this fantasy just because it is so, like, the woods, the scenes in the woods are so dark. Strong Tamora Pierce vibes. If you read Tamora Pierce as a child, you will love this, especially if you loved the Dane-Newmare relationship. P.S. We need to talk about the new Tamora Pierce release. If you are a Tammy fan, talk to me in the comments down below about the Newmare trilogy we've been promised recently. But yes, you need to read this. I think it will appeal to a lot of different people, and it is so good. So question number 2 is the best sequel that you've read so far this year. Now, for those of you following along with my Dark Tower reading project, #DTProject17, link to the playlist down below. I read The Gunslinger as a kid. did not like it, picked it up again because of the movies, and everybody said, Emily, you're not gonna like this, you're just gonna have to push through it. It is not a great first book. And they were right. And to be honest, reading this again as an adult, I wouldn't have continued with the series. This is a really terrible first book. Then you get to The Drawing of Three, and The Drawing of Three has a completely different feel because there have been so many years between The Gunslinger and this book. Stephen King has picked it up again, and the story is just richer, and Stephen King has more experience as a writer, and I loved this. And with every book that follows, I have loved the series more and more. This is just such a step up. It has to be the best sequel that I've read thus far. And if you are like me and you started the Dark Tower series with The Gunslinger and you didn't like it, I would highly, highly encourage you to pick up The Drawing of Three. Like, just, even if you didn't finish The Gunslinger, just Google the Wikipedia summary of it, find out what happens, and then start with this. Number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but really want to, is Your Welcome Universe by Whitney Gardner. Now, there's something wrong with my editing program, so I can't pop the picture up, but I'm sure you've seen it around Booktube. It is about a deaf street artist, and I'm very, very excited for it. Question number 4 is your most anticipated release in the last half of this year, and that is Tortall, A Spy's Guide by Tamora Pierce and Julie Holderman. It comes out October 31st, or at least it's planned to be published on October 31st, and I am so excited for it. Close second to this is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, which I have pre-ordered. So, looking forward to both of those, but Tamora Pierce more than the John Green, believe it or not. It's been a long time since we've had a new release from Tamora Pierce. So number 5 is my biggest disappointment of 2017 thus far, and that would be American Gods by Neil Gaiman. Now hold your horses before you start freaking out and crapping your pants. How could you not like American Gods, Emily? It is the epitome of Neil Gaiman's career. It is so beautiful and wonderful, and yes, it may be all of those things, but I listened to so many people hype this up, and I hyped this up in my mind. People in real life, people at work, customers, people online, all the reviews, all the positiveness for American Gods, and I had all of this in my head, and when I went into it, I was disappointed. I had it way up on a pedestal, like so high up on a pedestal, that actually reading it, does it do cool things? Yes. Do I think I'll like it if I read it a second time, and probably maybe even love it if I read it a second time? Yes, because I will have more realistic expectations. So, the book that surprised me the most in this first half of the year was Wonder by R.J. Palacio. Now, this is a book that I have been looking at for a while now. I bought the box set, I read this book, I have forced it on so many people. It was such a random impulse buy, and it's such a surprise that I have become so fond of Augie Pullman and this story, and I am worried about the movie. I am deeply, deeply worried about the movie, but I'm excited to see it. Number 7 is your favorite new to you / debut author. And for me, that is The Wanderers by Meg Howry. Now, I can't remember if I filmed a review for this. If I have, it's probably unedited because everything that I film is unedited. This tells a story of 3 astronauts who have been chosen to represent the Earth on a mission to Mars. They get thrown into the simulation to test how they would actually be on this mission, and so it is a shorter mission than what they would actually be doing when they go for real. And so you have these 3 humans and then their family members, and as much as everybody is proud of these astronauts for being chosen out of the whole world of astronauts to embark on this international space adventure, there is the potential that these people will never come back. Nobody's ever gone to Mars before. There's the potential that these people won't get chosen, that something goes wrong, and these 3 will not get to go to Mars, like if their dynamics are off in the simulation. So there is so much second guessing what you say and how you act, and it's a beautiful exploration of what it means to be human. The writing is beautiful. I'm not sure if this is her debut novel. Nope, no it's not. But she's new to me, so read this. Do it. Number 8 is your new fictional crush, and Emma Books changed it to your new OTP because she couldn't think of a fictional crush. I can't think of either, so I'm going to skip this question. Number 9 is your new favorite character, and that would be Susanna Dean from the Dark Tower series. Oh my goodness, do I love this human. I just finished book 6, Song of Susanna, and I am so worried for her. I plan on doing a video series talking about Susanna and her journey and her character arc. That's how much I love this character that I want to set aside a whole mini episode from my Dark Tower reading project to devote entirely to Susanna. She is a person of color. She is a person with a disability or a disabled person. Depending on where you are in the world, one or the other is politically correct. So I don't mean to offend by using either, depending on where you are located. In a train accident, she lost her legs, the bottom of her legs and her feet. So she is in a wheelchair and she has some mental health issues. And she is the most strong-willed, admirable female character that I have read in a long time, and I am deeply, deeply attached to her narrative and her well-being. I need her to be okay on the journey to the Dark Tower, and I'm worried book 7, I guess, will tell me how that all works out. Number 10 is a book that made me cry. Let's just bring this back. This is Goodbye Days by Jeff Zentner. This made me ugly cry in public. It hit me in all of the feels, and I loved it, and I want to read it again. Number 11 is a book that made you happy, and for that I have The Lotteries +1 by Emma Donoghue. So this tells the story of Sumac Lottery, a child in the household of two queer couples who have come together to co-parent biological and adoptive children post winning the lottery. So these kids are homeschooled, they have sort of unconventional, very hands-on learning and independent study projects, and they live in Toronto, they are environmentalists, they bicycle, and it just felt so much like Toronto. I'm Canadian, I'm sort of in the GTA, Greater Toronto area. It captures summer in Ontario for me, just the writing, it's beautiful, the diversity and the representation is incredibly important. That it's in a piece of literature for 9 to 12-year-olds is wonderful, and I love it. There are some problems, it's not a perfect text, but it made me just so happy to read it. I love family dynamics. This is about exploring what happens when a conservative Irish grandfather who does not approve of queerness, who does not approve of people of color, and does not approve of this son's co-parenting lifestyle, has to come live with him because he's got dementia. Also so relatable because I have a super conservative grandfather, and the minute we're introduced to Grumps, I'm like, oh boy, there's my grandfather right there. The Lotteries +1 made me happy in so many ways, and if you haven't read it, I would love for you to read it and then discuss it with me. If you have read it, let's chat. Number 12 is your favorite book-to-film adaptation. Now, I have not seen a lot of book-to-film adaptations this year, but I did watch the book-to-television adaptation of Jay Asher's 13 Reasons Why. I read this book in the summer between my 3rd and 4th year of university, so it's been a little while, but I had a basic idea of what happened, but watching 13 Reasons Why was all-consuming. I loved that they expanded the narrative to include the perspectives of different people, like Hannah's parents, the other students on these tapes. I love that things were fleshed out more. I get that there are problems with the contagion of suicide. I think that giving this narrative to young people in high school is a bad choice. I am not gonna lie, I don't think that the target audience of this project is the right audience for this project. I think the target audience for this project should have been parents and teachers, because once you leave high school, you really do forget how you felt in that headspace, how stupid things were the end of the world. It's so easy to be like, oh, don't worry about it, high school ends, don't worry about it, you won't remember this in a few years. At the time, I worked with young people in that age group. So watching it for me helped me to shift my perspective, so that when the kids were talking about, oh my god, I accidentally liked someone's Instagram photo from months ago, now they can tell that I'm lurking. And they were devastated. They were devastated that they liked someone's Instagram photo from months ago. My first instinct is dude, it's a photo? You still liked the photo, it's still a nice photo. How many times do you find a new Instagram account and you go through the Instagram account and you're like, man, you worked really hard on these photos. These are really cool photos. That trip to Hawaii a year ago looked amazing. Your beautiful flat lay. Look how hard you worked on that. Just because it's not instant, it's not the most recent thing you posted, doesn't mean that I can't go back and like it. And as an adult, I'm like, hey, I'm appreciating your things. the amount of anguish that this child felt because they liked a photo that wasn't the most recent photo at the time felt totally frivolous and silly, but like watching this show helped me to shift my perspective and to be more understanding that high school is a totally different place. As an adult, I'm removed from it, and you should take these things that seem silly to you and like be supportive and listen. And I mean, obviously I didn't shut them down, but like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think it helped me to be a better person when interacting with people in high school. That is why it is my favorite adaptation that I have seen. I know there's a lot of controversy around the suicide. I'm not going to comment on that. I think other people have done a really good job about the effects that this can have on the intended audience of teenagers. Number 13 is the favorite video that you have filmed so far this year. And for me, that is the first episode of the hashtag DT Project 17. So I've been out of grad school for a little bit, and it's been a while since I've done like the research thing, like the digging down the rabbit hole thing. And putting together the first episode of the DT Project 17, doing the research for that was so much fun, and I am so pleased that I got to do that and I got to share it with you and I got to do a little bit of analysis and make connections. And doing this project, the whole video series, has been a joy. Getting to make those connections, getting to be academic again, because currently I'm between schools. I miss it, and so this project has given me an opportunity to do that, and I have loved it. It is my favorite thing that I have created this year. The most beautiful book I've bought. I bought this in January of 2017, and this is The Night Parade by Catherine Tangueri. I was doing returns at the store, which means we pull books that have been sitting around too long, and we ship them back to our warehouse so that they can like sell them to other places, like bargain book places. Because the last time I talked about returns and I complained about it, someone was like, "Why, you're just putting the product back." And I was like, no, returns is not taking the product that's been returned by the customers and returning it to the shelf. Returns is taking the products from the shelf, searching the store for the products, and like checking them out of our inventory and boxing them up. That is to say, I saw this while I was doing returns, and I was like, oh my goodness, this cover is beautiful. And looking at this, I had strong My Neighbor Totoro vibes, strong Miyazaki vibes, and just seeing the cover gave me those vibes, and I knew nothing about the book, but that it gave me Miyazaki vibes, and so I bought it. I still haven't read the back of the book. Number 15 is some books to read in the rest of 2017. Some of the things I hope to read in the rest of 2017 include basically my gay YA TBR that I'm reading for my Sex and YA series. I am hoping to read the last two books that I have left in the Dark Tower series, so The Dark Tower and then Wind Through the Keyhole. I am hoping to read some Tamora Pierce. You may have noticed that I started a playlist for Tamora Pierce books because I want to read through Tamora Pierce's body of works in publication order and just sort of record my thoughts. I got sent an arc of Reincarnation Blues by Michael Poore, so I'm hoping to read this in the next little bit. Nothing super specific for the most part, but just in general, reading some of the things that I have bought for things and working on the video series that I have promised. That's what I would like to do in the rest of 2017. So number 16 is to tag some humans. Now, it might be a little bit late to do this, but when I checked when I was planning this video a couple of weeks ago, I noticed that Sylvia from Wish Fulfillment had not done this tag yet. She does a lot of diverse reading, and I love the way she formats her reviews. So she's picked a couple of questions, and she looks to answer that question in every single one of her reviews. So when she's comparing books, when you hear her talk about these books, you know what she's looking for in each read, and you know how these books stand up to these questions that are important to her. And I really, really love that about her reviews. Sylvia will be linked down below. You should watch her. And the other person that I would like to tag is the lovely JD Estrada. So we worked on the buddy reads together on American Gods. He's a writer, and he does frequent videos on YouTube, and he does some really interesting discussion videos that are really, really thought-provoking. And oftentimes I will put a discussion video of his on while I'm like preparing dinner or something, and I listen. I like longer videos. I know the average view time is 3 to 4 minutes, and those people are already gone because this video is long, but I personally like longer videos because I do a lot of multitasking when I watch. So a lot of his videos are longer, especially the discussion videos. So I would highly recommend that you check out his channel. I will link him down below. If you want to do this tag, do this tag, and then leave me a little note saying that you've done this tag and where I can find you. I would like to watch. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a great reading year thus far, and I hope that we continue to have beautiful, wonderful reading experiences as we move towards December. Take care, friends. Bye.